Right now, Election Day quickly approaching, but the results may take a while to come in. One political expert weighs in on what the following days could look like. Plus, former President Bill Clinton visits the Badger State, how he's helping the Harris campaign appeal to the black community. And inflation continues to cool, while the White House says there's still work to be done. It's all ahead on News 3 Now at 10. The countdown to Election Day continues. In just 5 days, Americans will decide who will become our next president, but the uncertainty likely won't end on Tuesday. In fact, it could be days before we know who will be in the White House come January. Our Braden Ross has what you need to know about how long those results might take. Braden?
Yeah, the ballot count alone could take days in several key states around the country. Add in legal challenges and potential recounts, and we could be looking at months before this is all wrapped up. But one political expert I talked to has a reminder for us.
There are 25 votes for George W. Bush for President of the United States.
I'll flash back to 2000. You wake up in the morning and you don't know who's president, and the world is still turning.
The day many Americans have been anxiously awaiting is just around the corner now. But it's very likely that we won't have the answer we're looking for on the morning after Election Day.
For us, we'll know how our state comes out, I think, a few hours after the polls are closed. But the country as a whole may be much harder.
The first hurdle is just counting the ballots.
When I'm training my clerks, I'm always telling them, I'm not looking for speed, I'm looking for accuracy.
More than 1 million Wisconsinites have already cast their absentee ballots, but state law says they can't start counting them until the morning of Election Day.
When you're looking at the results and you'll see some results coming in and then they start changing, it doesn't mean that there's a dump somewhere. It means that we're still working on it.
But even once the count is finished, we'll still likely have to wait through potential recounts and legal challenges. Political expert Howard Schwaber says those challenges are pretty much a given if former President Trump loses.
The lawyers are hired, the documents are written to bring legal challenges. Things like how late the polls are open, claims of unfair or illegal assistance, questions about whether a minor imperfection in an absentee ballot can be overlooked or the ballot has to be discarded.
And just this week, CBS News obtained a federal bulletin from the Department of Homeland Security warning that threat actors could use claims of election fraud to drive election-related violence.
The events of January 6th were horrendous and violent and dangerous. People went to jail and went to prison. That may be enough to dissuade people from engaging in that kind of violence again.
But Schwaber told me he's hopeful the dust will settle and we'll have a winner no matter how long it takes. After all, it wouldn't be the first time we've had to wait.
We've seen it before. And let me hasten to say, we've survived the experience.
Something important to remember here, though, the Associated Press calls races when it is confident the trailing candidates no longer have a path to victory based on a ton of different information. Over the past few elections, the AP's accuracy rate has been more than 99.9%.
Braden, thank you. A windy Halloween night across southern Wisconsin. Those conditions will soon die down. Jacob has more on the forecast.
Yeah, it's also much cooler compared to the last couple of days. Looking at the current temperatures, 41 degrees in Madison. That's mostly the case across Dane County as well. A few locations already in the upper 30s, and we're likely going to see temperatures drop all the way to near freezing, possibly below that mark for a few areas. Now, comparing these temperatures to 24 hours ago, over 20 degrees cooler. Near Milwaukee, temperatures are 30 degrees cooler than this time yesterday, and this has been the case throughout much of the day, but especially right now in the evening. Look at the current radar. We are mostly dry. A few flurries and sprinkles are out there, but a lot of it not even showing up on the radar. Not going to be a huge issue going forward. We still are windy with some areas seeing wind speeds up to 24 miles per hour. The wind advisory has just expired, but we're still going to be breezy for the next few hours. However, once we get closer to sunrise, by Friday morning, the winds are going to be much calmer, and that's going to be the case throughout the rest of the day and for your Saturday. So here's a look at the forecast for tonight. Lows will be in the middle to lower 30s, and then we are going to see clear skies by the morning as well. The clouds will clear up throughout the night. And then for tomorrow, pretty quiet. Temperatures will definitely be on the cooler side compared to the last couple of days, but these are pretty close to normal for this time of the year. But we are expecting temperatures to warm up a little bit, but then we're also going to see quite a bit of rain. I'll take you through the full rainfall forecast coming up a little bit later.
Jacob, thank you. The campaign stops are still in full effect as the race for the White House draws to an end in these coming days. Former President Bill Clinton made his way to Milwaukee to campaign for the Harris-Walz ticket, and our Merrill Hubbard has more on his visit.
Bill Clinton is another former president who is out campaigning for Harris. His role? To engage faith-based voters and members of the black community.
This country has the best future prospects of any country on earth because of our diversity.
Bill Clinton spoke to dozens of people at the Institute for the Preservation of African American Music and Arts, a church or center that celebrates the Black community in Milwaukee.
To me, it appeals that, once again, his experience, where he stood, where he is now, and how he's vying for her, the work that he put in when he was president, as well, too, in the percentage of voters that he got to come out, especially those that were African-American descent or what we consider minorities.
Historically, Clinton has a connection with the Black population through his own campaigning back in the early 1990s. During this time, he was the governor of Arkansas, and he rallied support from Black voters in the state.
So when he ran for president, he had a certain credibility that he could be a Democratic nominee who would appeal to white working class and Black working class.
Mordecai Lee, a UW-Milwaukee political science expert, says,
and I think that's what the Harris campaign is counting on, that Bill Clinton can talk to a certain population that maybe other candidates wouldn't.
In Clinton's address, he discussed the preservation of democracy, immigration, and the economy.
The Biden-Harris administration will have created about 16 million jobs, more than any administration in 4 years.
Clinton nailed in the point that the victory of the future president could rest in Wisconsin's hands.
The future of the country is on the line, and it may be decided in Wisconsin.
We can expect to see both Donald Trump and Kamala Harris in Milwaukee on Friday for what will likely be their last visit in the Badger State for this election. Reporting in Milwaukee, Merrill Hubbard, News 3 Now.
Merrill, thank you. And in a statement, Wisconsin's GOP Chair Brian Schimming said, quote, in their latest effort to convince voters that decency and character are on the ballot this November, Wisconsin Democrats are turning to Bill Clinton to make their case. Good luck with that, end quote. And former President Donald Trump making a stop in Wisconsin just days before the election. The Republican candidate holding a rally tomorrow at Fiserv Forum in Milwaukee. The event set to start at 7 in the evening. Trump expected to talk about his economic policy. This will be the first time Trump has campaigned at Fiserv Forum since accepting his party's nomination. And Vice President Kamala Harris has another star-studded lineup for her rally in Wisconsin tomorrow. The vice president will be joined in Milwaukee by Glorilla, Cardi B, the Isley Brothers, and more. The rally is part of the Harris campaign's final push to get out the vote in Wisconsin. An exact time and place for that rally have yet to be released. In the final days of the race for the White House, polls show little change in several battleground states with no clear leader. In Michigan, a new Washington Post poll shows 47% of likely voters supporting Vice President Kamala Harris compared to 46% supporting former President Trump. The most recent CNN poll also close. 48% for Harris, 45% for Trump, and those numbers are all within the margin of error. The race also neck and neck in both Georgia and North Carolina, two key southern battleground states. As we hit these final days before the election, for many, stress levels are high. Doctors are offering tips with how you can cope with the stress, both in the final days leading up to the election, as well as the aftermath. They say the key message is to make a plan for election night, and that means planning breaks from election coverage, getting some exercise, prioritizing your sleep, and not isolating yourself.
It's easy at this time to catastrophize with the race neck and neck. I see both sides doing this, people who are voting on both sides. So instead, put the screen down. You might do some mindfulness, some mindful breathing, mindful walking, mindful yoga to calm yourself and center yourself. And remember that, we'll get through this, and we always come out strong as a country.
Psychologists say it's also important to spread hope and to educate the younger generation about the election system and the candidates. On that note, jobless claims are down for the third week in a row. The Labor Department says the number of people applying for first-time unemployment benefits dropped by 12,000 to 216,000 claims. Economists had predicted 227,000 people. Those continuing to receive unemployment benefits also dropped, falling by 26,000 to 1.86 million. Economists had predicted continuing jobless claims to rise to 1.94 million. American pay bumps are cooling a bit, but still up. Compensation for workers was just shy of 4% last quarter. It's according to new figures from the Department of Labor. Now, even though compensation growth is slowing down, it continues to outpace inflation. Federal Reserve officials have been closely tracking compensation data because it can foreshadow the path of inflation. And it is inflation that continues to trend down ahead of a potential rate cut by the Fed. According to the Commerce Department data released today, inflation has now fallen to 2.1%, just shy of the Fed's 2% target. Since 2020, American incomes are up almost $4,000 after accounting for inflation, but the White House says more work still needs to be done.
we have to keep working to put downward pressure on costs where we can do so. Childcare, housing, prescription drugs, health coverage. All of those areas remain important cost-cutting policies for us. But the fact that the economy is a strong tailwind, inflation easing, pay up, job market solid, that's a real help.
Personal Consumption Expenditures Price Index showed prices rose 2.1% from the year ending in September. That is down from 2.3% in August. The annual increase fell right in line with what economists were expecting. When we come back at 10, Jacob tells us about our chances for rain in the coming days. Plus, more than 24 people are sent to the hospital after eating contaminated pizza. Why one resident says a Stoughton restaurant needs to be held accountable.
We know what Joan Ballwig wants to do. Ban abortion and birth control. That's it. That's her plan. Sarah Kieski is focused on bringing costs down, and she has real plans to lower the cost of healthcare and housing, prescription drugs, and to cut your taxes. So if you want a candidate focused on banning abortion and birth control, that's Joan Ballwig. For everyone else, there's Sarah Kieski. She's running for state senate to finally bring costs down.
With high inflation, working families like mine are hurting, and Kamala Harris helped create this mess. Now, while Americans struggle, Kamala spent our tax dollars putting illegal immigrants up in hotel rooms, and she supported spending our tax dollars to give illegals sex changes. It's not just liberal, it's insane. Kamala Harris can never, ever be our president.
Preserve America PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
You have a clear choice in this election. Senator Baldwin is a 38-year career politician. I'm a businessman and job creator. She supports taxpayer benefits for illegal immigrants. I'll close the border. Tammy wants to put guys and girls sports in their bathrooms. I'll protect our daughters. Senator Baldwin abuses the political system. I'll fight the corruption. I'm Eric Hovde, and I approve this message. I'd be honored to have your vote.
Kamala backed Biden on everything. She was the deciding vote for his disastrous economic agenda. They raised taxes on the middle class, and prices soared. Kamala was in charge of his open border policies, giving welfare to illegals while Americans struggle, and their weakness invited wars. Now Kamala wants to double down on failure. It's time to turn the page on Joe and Kamala's failed agenda. President Trump fights for you. His strength kept us safe. Trump cut taxes for families. Prices were lower and the border secure. Now, President Trump can do it again.
And we are going to launch a new golden age of American success for the citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed.
Remember, Kamala broke it. President Trump will fix it.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Here's the secret worth sharing. Robertson, Wisconsin's aesthetic leader, has nurses that specialize in custom treatment plans. Always natural, never overfilled. Time to learn how aging is different at Robertson.
Todd Novak is a compassionate and independent voice for us in the Assembly, but Elizabeth Grobby will tell any lie she needs to get herself elected. Grobby's dishonesty about Todd Novak is shameful. The truth, Todd Novak passed legislation protecting exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother, and voted to expand access to birth control, not ban it. It's time to reject the desperate and ridiculous lies from Elizabeth Grobby and her radical allies. We deserve better. Todd Novak for Assembly.
You're watching News 3 Now at 10.
In Stoughton, a resident is outraged after his grandchildren ate THC-laced pizza. Frank Quattromano's grandkids visited him last week from Florida. Their trip went sour when all three of the children felt a bit off after eating Famous Yeti's pizza. The youngest, just 2 years old, his family learned about the contamination after watching TV. This morning, he attempted to press charges with Stoughton police to hold Famous Yeti's pizza accountable.
And it just made no effort to get a hold of people. I'd like to know why the Department of Health didn't make them look at call logs and call people.
Well, Famous Yetis has released a statement asking for forgiveness and admitting they made a mistake. Dane County Public Health reported more than 60 people ate the laced food from Yetis. Over 25 of them went to the hospital. For the first time, a pig in the United States has been diagnosed with H5N1, otherwise known as bird flu. Federal officials say it was detected at a backyard farm in the state of Oregon, where poultry tested positive for the virus last week. Medical experts say it's concerning because pigs are thought of as mixing vessels between human, bird, and swine flu. The CDC adds that the risk to the general public from bird flu remains low. Big night for all the ghouls and goblins out there, but trick-or-treating can be difficult for those with food allergies. Doctors say to avoid a reaction in trick-or-treaters who have those food allergies, parents should consider packing an allergy-friendly treat just in case the child can't eat the ones they receive. Read the labels, but be aware that some smaller candy packaging may not have ingredients printed.
Many parents are calling it the switch witch or the good witch, who comes and leaves a gift in exchange for the child's candy. So it's this nice trade system that can happen after trick-or-treating.
Well, allergists say that parents should also remember to bring their child's rescue medication at all times. Today, there are surprises lurking around every corner, but why do some people enjoy getting spooked? And are there benefits to getting freaked out? Well, researchers in Denmark say similar to the excitement of a child before opening a gift, anxiousness of the unknown, surprise, and the eventual resolution is what can make things like haunted houses, scary movies, roller coasters, and even hide and seek more enjoyable. Horror can also provide people with a sense of accomplishment.
Humans tend to seek out things that surprise us in a variety of ways that drive up uncertainty so that we can then reduce that uncertainty.
Behavioral scientists say research suggests 3 psychological conditions allow someone to enjoy horror. Those are confidence in dealing with the situation, understanding you are physically safe, and detachment. Quiet the next couple of days before our weather becomes a little more active. Jacob with more on our conditions in his full forecast.
Thanks, Eric. Here's a look at the 3 things you need to know. Quiet for tomorrow and for Saturday. We are going to see some rainfall beginning Saturday night and continuing all the way through Tuesday, with temperatures kind of a little bit above average, but certainly they're going to remain cooler compared to yesterday and Tuesday. Now here's a look once again at the forecast for tonight. We're going to see skies clear up throughout the night. The winds will also calm down, but the temperatures are going to drop. We'll have lows in the lower 30s by sunrise. And for tomorrow, we'll have highs right around 50, which is pretty similar to what we normally see for this time of year. We'll also see plenty of sunshine, but as we look at the drought situation, we've seen a lot of sunshine lately. Now, this is going to change, and it kind of started yesterday. You know, we've been talking about the possibility that the pattern is going to shift from dry to a little bit wetter, and we're kind of seeing that unfold. Now, for the most part, this is actually good news because, as you can see, most of Wisconsin, actually all of Wisconsin, under a drought at this time. That does not include the rainfall yesterday, which will get put into next week's drought monitor, as well as all the rainfall we're going to see over the next 4 to 5 days. So here's a look at that rainfall forecast. Dry for Friday, dry for Saturday. We'll see a little bit more cloud cover Saturday, but Saturday night into Sunday morning, we're going to see all that rain move into the area, and is going to continue for much of the day on Sunday. For those of you attending the Packers game, it's also going to be the case there as well. So plenty of rainfall across all of Wisconsin on Sunday. But this is going to continue for Monday as well. Maybe a little bit more broken up on Monday, but we're still going to see on and off showers for much of the day. More consistent rain moving into the area Monday evening and continuing for much of the day on Tuesday as well, before it looks like the rain will finally clear out by Tuesday afternoon and evening. And then we are expecting dry conditions for next Wednesday. But before we get back to the dry weather, at least after the next 2 days, we're going to see quite a bit of rainfall. Now, obviously, when the rainfall is happening, it's not going to be very pleasant outside, but we definitely need the rainfall, as I mentioned earlier, and we could be seeing over 2 inches of rainfall for a lot of southern Wisconsin. So with the rainfall that we saw yesterday and the rain we're going to see the next several days, we're likely going to see significant improvements in the drought monitor. I'm very curious to see what next week's drought monitor has in store for us, considering that rainfall yesterday not in this week's. Now, looking at the 7 to 10 day forecast, we are going to see dry conditions return for Wednesday and for the rest of next week. Also want to mention that the Clocks get moved back this weekend, and it really is going to be a difference of 2 days. Now, temperatures will be similar, but we're going to be dry Saturday with plenty of rainfall Sunday. That's going to be the case as well for Monday and Tuesday, as those temperatures will warm up, and some of the overnight lows will be pretty mild because of that rainfall. But obviously, conditions will feel a little bit cooler than what they actually are considering the rain. And at this point in time, we're not expecting very windy conditions, as they'll remain mostly calm during the showers.
And coming up in sports, there's a massive match at the Fieldhouse tomorrow night, where the Badgers say they can't wait to face the Huskers. That's next on News 3 Now.
News 3 Now First Warn Weather is brought to you by Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor.
Discover a shopping and design experience as comfortable as the furniture. Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor. Schedule your free design consultation today.
The other side is lying to scare you. Truth is, Joan Ballweg is a champion for women's health care. She fought hard to expand healthcare access for postpartum moms and supports access for IVF and birth control. We're voting for Joan Ballweg because she votes for women like us.
I'm Tammy Baldwin, and I approve this message.
Eric Hovde owns a $3 billion California bank. That's right, he owns it.
And a $7 million mansion on the beach.
Eric Hovde proposed $4 trillion in new tax breaks for rich guys just like him.
And to pay for it, Hovde would cut Social Security by 28%.
Slash Medicare 25%.
And veterans benefits 40%.
Outrageous. Now we know what's wrong with Eric Hovde. This guy is not for us.
So let's get one thing straight. When Donald Trump talks about cutting Social Security and Medicare, it's like spitting in the face of America's seniors. We paid into these programs for our entire careers, and he would just cut them? Why? He wants to give another tax cut to the super rich, which they don't need. I know that Kamala Harris will protect our Social Security because she understands why it's so important for so many of us.
FFPAC is responsible for the content of this ad.
Under Kamala, there's been a big hike in Medicare premiums. Social Security benefits don't go far with Kamala's inflation slamming seniors. Now Kamala wants struggling seniors to pay more Social Security taxes, while she gives Medicare and Social Security to illegals. That will doom Medicare. President Trump will make sure no one cuts Medicare or Social Security. Trump lowered Medicare premiums, and he'll end the tax on Social Security.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
I, Kamala J.D. Harris, do solemnly swear.
Kamala swore an oath, but Kamala created crisis after crisis. Our troops murdered, an open border, crime in our streets, skyrocketing costs, assassination attempts, Americans abandoned during disasters, and we're on the brink of World War III. A broken oath and a broken America. Kamala can't be trusted in the Oval Office. Vote for President Trump and save America. Make America Great Again, Inc. is responsible for the content of this advertising.
I'm running for the Senate because I love our country, but sometimes I don't recognize it anymore. What is right has become wrong, and what is wrong has become right. Politicians like Tammy Baldwin have led us down the wrong path. It doesn't have to be this way. We can lower the cost of food and medicine, close our border, and stop the flow of deadly drugs. Let's work together to restore the American dream and give our children a brighter future. I'm Eric Hovde, and I approve this message, and I'm asking for your vote.
Sarah Kieski, she supports lifting revenue limits, allowing property tax rates to skyrocket unchecked. Kieski's backers want to ban natural gas to heat our homes, driving utility bills through the roof. That's Kieski's record, expensive and extreme.
In case you haven't heard, there's a pretty big match at the Fieldhouse on Friday between not only two of the best in the Big Ten, but in the country. And you can probably take it up even another level because it's Wisconsin versus Nebraska. The Huskers enter a perfect 10-0 in conference play, while Kelly Sheffield's squad is right behind them at 9-1. So a win tomorrow night will go a long way towards a Big Ten title. The Badgers are looking forward to it.
It's a dogfight every time we play them, and it's a fun match to be a part of, fun match to watch, fun match to reflect on. I think we all understand that to win the Big Ten, we have to go through them.
We're teams who both play very hard and are very passionate about what we do, and I think that results in really good volleyball coming from both teams, which is why we always end up in positions where we're vying for that top spot.
So So far this season, Wisconsin women's hockey has made just about everything they've done look easy. Mark Johnson's squad has 5 series under their belt and 10 wins to their name. Their next challenge, a trip to 8th-ranked St. Cloud State against a team that they've beaten 8 of the last 9 meetings. But none of that matters to the Badgers. They're out to prove that when they step out on that ice, they're the best team on the planet.
In this business, you can't ever think you're pretty good, or you maybe don't have to go as hard, or you don't have to do certain things, because that's when you get slapped in the face. And so, the message will be the same.
We've been doing well, but we're not going to take anyone lightly. So I think we need to prove that we can beat a good team who's, they tend to give us a hard time defensively. They've got good goalies. So I think we just got to prove that, we can keep scoring on anyone.
Wisconsin men's hockey is excited to turn the page to November because October was one to forget. Out of the 3 series they've played, they skated away with just 1 win, and that was back on the 12th. Since then, it's been 4 straight losses. But the Badgers plan to end that streak in South Bend. They swept the season series against the Irish last year, and because of their slow start, they know they'll need points in every series from here on out.
Getting points in every single series, especially on the road, is imperative. And so I think we're going to see a team that's very motivated to try and defend their home ice, and a team that's getting into Big Ten play for the first time. And it's something we have to take advantage of, trying to go and get some points on a very difficult place to play.
And the Bucks lost again, this time in blowout fashion to the Grizzlies. Last time Milwaukee started a year 1-4. You got to go back to the 2010-2011 season with head coach Scott Skiles. We're back after this.
I thought with everything going on, we could all use a little smile break. So this one is on Gruber Law Offices. You're welcome.
I'm Tara, a nurse here in Wisconsin, and my patients don't want politicians like Eric Hovde making their healthcare decisions. He means what he says about opposing reproductive rights.
I am totally opposed to abortion.
And there are forces in Washington who want to pass a nationwide ban on abortion. And if Hovde gets elected, I worry he'll support that ban that could turn nurses like me into criminals. We need to vote against Eric Hovde.
Win Senate is responsible for the content of this ad.
Saving money on your next project at Menards. Update your home's exterior with Cedar Creek vinyl siding. This easy-to-install, low-maintenance siding withstands the elements and is available in 16 color options. Get an 11% rebate on Cedar Creek siding. Prevent costly repairs with Shell Rotella T6 heavy-duty full synthetic diesel motor oil. It's designed to provide excellent protection against heat, engine wear, and sludge. Get a gallon for $18.99 after 11% rebate.
Save big money at Menards.
Donald Trump has always wanted unchecked power.
I have the right to do whatever I want as president.
And with Project 2025, he'll get it. No guardrails. This time, he will eliminate protections for pre-existing conditions, and he'll cut Social Security and Medicare to give more tax cuts to billionaires. Donald Trump is more unhinged and unstable than ever. If we give him total power, he'll put everything at risk.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Rebecca Cook believes our parents and grandparents should be able to age with dignity. In Congress, she'll vote to strengthen Social Security and Medicare by repealing the tax on benefits, lowering the eligibility age for Medicare, and allowing Medicare to negotiate lower drug costs so our seniors get the prescription drugs they need at prices they can afford. Rebecca Cook, a homegrown Wisconsinite who fights for what's right. Project 218 is responsible for the content of this ad.
The problem with Todd Novak? He voted with his extreme party leaders 100% of the time, like voting against lower prescription prices. And Todd Novak authored the law to ban abortion in Wisconsin, with no exceptions for rape and incest. Todd Novak is with the extremists 100%, and he's hurting Wisconsin. Elizabeth Grabe will defend abortion rights, get more police funding, and bring down costs. Elizabeth Grabe for Assembly.
I'm Tammy Baldwin, and I approve this message.
I am a strong believer in pro-life. I am totally opposed to abortion.
Eric Hovde supports abortion bans. Republican extremists in the Senate already want to ban abortion nationwide. No exceptions for rape or incest. They want more anti-abortion judges. And to even make birth control and IVF illegal.
I am totally opposed to abortion.
We can't trust Eric Hovde.
At Gruber Law Offices, you pay us nothing until we win your case. It costs you nothing up front to get the results and compensation you deserve. Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
News 3 Now, election night coverage, Tuesday.
That's an inspiring closing message. I hope you enjoy this garbage truck, by which I mean my campaign.
There's new with Seth Meyers tonight on CBS.
Jacob rejoins us. A final check of the forecast.
Yeah, we're going to finally see some quiet weather for 2 whole days, and then we're going to have more rainfall into the area. I do say more rainfall, though, although before yesterday we still have been pretty dry, but the dry pattern's kind of shifting a little bit with the rain yesterday and the rainfall early next week. Temperatures will be a little bit above normal, upper 50s, lower 60s for highs early next week, but that's still cooler compared to yesterday. It does look like we'll dry out for Wednesday and the end of next week, but overall, you know, we'll definitely take the rainfall, but enjoy the weather on Saturday. That looks to be probably the best day this week.
All right, Jacob, thank you, and thanks for joining us for News 3 Now at 10, folks. Have a great night.